All right, let's just get right into it. There's a sound, right? A sound that it just cuts through everything. It completely bypasses your rational brain, sends your heart rate through the roof, and demands your total immediate attention. You know what I'm talking about? It's the sound of your baby crying. And if you are deep in the trenches with this right now, then this explainer, it's for you.
Okay, but before we go any further, first things first, I really want you to look at this and just let it sink in. If you're that person right now, pacing the floor at 3 a.m. with a baby who just will not settle, please, just for a second, stop and take a breath. You are not failing, I promise. Your baby doesn't hate you. You're just climbing one of the steepest learning curves known to humankind, and we're gonna figure this out together.
So, to get a handle on this, we've got to totally reframe what crying even is. See, for us, crying usually means we're sad, right? But for a baby, oh, it is something completely different. So let's start there. Let's try to understand the language they're actually speaking. And this right here, this changes everything. You know, we cry when we're upset. But for a newborn, crying is, well, it's a tool. It's a utility. Think about it. Their nervous system is brand new, incredibly immature. They can't just shiver if they're cold or, grab a snack if they're hungry. Crying is their only tool. It's the one alarm bell they can pull for every single thing they could possibly need.
So what happens when you've done it all? You've checked the diaper, the belly is full, but they are still screaming their little heads off. Well, you might be dealing with what we can call a sensory traffic jam. It's like their little brain is a brand new highway, and suddenly it's hit with rush hour traffic from every direction. Lights, sounds, being held, being passed around. It's just too much data, and they have no off switch. So what do? They cry.
Okay, so now let's zoom out a bit and see how this gets even bigger. Because when a baby cries and cries and cries, what's happening in that room is, well, it's a literal biological collision. It's their nervous system crashing right into yours. And this really breaks it down. On one side, you've got the baby. Some unmet need or just that sensory overload kicks their little body into fight or flight. They're flooded with cortisol and adrenaline. They literally cannot calm down. Meanwhile, that piercing sound hits your ear and takes a direct flight straight to your amygdala. That's your brain's fear center. And your body just starts screaming, "Emergency, emergency." That's why you feel that intense frustration, that panic. It's chemical. So please listen to me on this. The most important thing to get here is that your stress is not a weakness. It is not a sign that you're a bad parent. It is a deep, hardwired biological reaction that's been baked into our DNA from millennia. That frustration you feel, it is 100% normal. You have to give yourself grace for that. Okay, so we've got the science down. Now, let's get practical. Let's get into the what do I actually do part. When your baby is physically fine but just stuck in that awful crying loop, you need a system. A checklist. So here it is. Here's your roadmap to calm. And let me be crystal clear. This is, without a doubt, the most important step of all. It's a law of physics. You cannot calm a chaotic nervous system if your nervous system is also chaotic. It just doesn't work. So before you even think about the baby, you have to regulate yourself first. So how do you do that? It sounds simple, but I know it's not easy in the moment. Just one deep breath. That's it. 1. Feel your shoulders drop from up around your ears. And here's a real pro tip, a game changer. Get some noise-reducing earplugs. They won't block the sound completely. You'll still hear the baby. But they take that high-pitched, jagged edge off the cry, the part that literally makes your brain short-circuit. It just gives you enough space to think. All right, so once you've got yourself a little more grounded, your plan of attack has 2 main parts. First, we do a methodical check. And second, we go for a full sensory reset. So the methodical check is exactly what it sounds like. You're going to become a detective. Calmly, systematically, you rule out the obvious stuff. Offer food. I don't care if they just ate 30 minutes ago. Offer it again. Check the diaper, obviously. Take off their clothes and check their temperature. Are they too hot, too cold? And here is one that people always forget, so check this carefully. Look at their little fingers and toes for what's called a hair tourniquet. Seriously, a single strand of hair can get wrapped around a tiny toe and cause a ton of pain. It's more common than you think. Okay, so if you've gone through that entire list, you've checked everything, and they are still crying, now you make an assumption. You can be pretty confident the problem isn't a physical need. The problem is that sensory traffic jam we talked about. They're just completely overwhelmed. And how do you clear that traffic jam? You perform a sensory reset.
The best way to do this is using Dr. Harvey Karp's famous 5 S's. Now, this whole system is designed to mimic the room. First S, swaddle. Get them in a dark, cool room and wrap them up snugly. Second, side or stomach position. Hold them on their side or belly. It helps calm their little systems. Third, shush. And I mean a loud shush, right next to their ear. It sounds crazy, but you're trying to imitate the sound of blood rushing in the womb. Fourth S, swing. Gentle, tiny, rhythmic movements, not big, wild swings. And finally, the fifth S, suck. Let them have a pacifier. What you're doing is systematically shutting down all that overwhelming input and taking them back to the only safe, calm place they've ever known.
Okay, we're heading into our final section, and honestly, this is a critical one. We have to talk about 2 things: how to tell the difference between normal, albeit frustrating crying, and a real medical emergency, and probably the single most important piece of advice you will ever get on this topic.
So when is it time to really worry? Here are the hard and fast red flags. For any baby under 3 months, a rectal temperature of 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit or higher means you go to the ER, period. Then listen to the cry itself. Is it a high-pitched shriek that's totally different from normal, or a super weak, whimpering cry? And look at their body. Are their little ribs pulling in with every breath? Do their lips have a bluish tint? Are they arching their back like they're in real pain? Any of those signs mean you call the doctor, right away. And now for that vital piece of advice I mentioned. There's going to be a moment. You will have done everything on this list, everything you can think of, and your baby will still be screaming. You will feel your frustration and exhaustion boiling over into something that feels dangerous. In that moment, it is 100% okay, in fact, it is professionally recommended that you do this. Put your baby down gently in their safe crib, walk out of the room, close the door, and walk away for 5 minutes.
Let me say that again. A crying baby alone in a safe crib is a safe baby. An exhausted, overwhelmed, and frustrated parent holding a baby is not always a safe situation. This isn't just some feel-good advice. This is a safety procedure. It's the airplane rule. You absolutely must secure your own emotional oxygen mask first. So if you take one thing away from all of this, let it be this. You are not supposed to magically know how to do this. Soothing a baby isn't some perfect instinct that you either have or you don't. No way. It is a skill. It's a really, really hard skill that you are building from scratch, one day, one night, one tear at a time. So I want to leave you with this final thought. What if we just stopped thinking of this crying as a problem we have to solve, or a sign that we're failing? What if instead we saw it as a language that we are slowly and painstakingly learning to speak? Because every single time you respond, whether you fix it or not, you're building a bond. You are becoming their translator. You are their safe space. You are doing a phenomenal job.